Hi, my name is Steve Latter. I'm a teacher at Potomac Falls High School, and I teach personal finance, and we use Budget Challenge, a great application tool, and we've invited Budget Challenge in for the day, so I'd like you to come join us for a morning with our students. Come on. Well, welcome inside. That's a great question. Why do we use Budget Challenge at Potomac Falls High School? So first of all, we've been using it for like the last 5 years, and we love it. So first of all, in our state, it's a requirement to take personal finance for graduation. So we wanted a really good applicable tool that not just teaching in the classroom, but how can we really make it come alive for the students? And I would say the thing that attracted us the most about Budget Challenge is not only does it do all the everyday skills of life, paying bills, managing your credit card utilization ratio, investing in 401k, setting up emergency funds, etc. But the great thing that the students love, and we have about a 90% appreciation rate or satisfaction rate with the module, is that they compete, and they love to compete. As you can imagine at the high school level, they compete for points. So not only are they learning how to use the module, but they're very competitive and want to see who can get to the top of the leaderboard. And the way the game is focused, it really drives the right learning behavior. So it's all focused on, again, establishing emergency funds, saving as much as you can in your 401k, looking for that company match, being able to pay down student loan debt, paying bills on time, building up credit ratings. It even gets into the sophistication of building up positive and low credit card utilization ratios, which drive credit scores. So it really has all the features, and every day in the classroom, you know, everybody is always jostling each other about, you know, who's in first and who's in second. We obviously only show like the first 6 places because we don't want to offend the people that aren't doing as well on it, but pretty much everybody likes it. So we plan to continue using the game to the foreseeable future. We haven't found anything on the market that quite matches it.
How would you describe Budget Challenge to someone who's never seen the program before?
As like a necessity.
Yeah?
for young people, absolutely. You know, coming from schooling where I did not have that opportunity to have personal finance, or in this scenario have the opportunity to kind of play adult, if you will, for a few weeks. I think it's invaluable. The students really benefit from the opportunity to make the mistakes that we as adults know they're going to be making if they don't have the education first. So I've been really happy with it. I think the students come around and they love it towards the end, so it's been really helpful.
So you're playing the new version of Budget Challenge with trophies and new assessments and curriculum. What's your reaction?
I really, really like, having played both the former game and the newest version that just came out. This is the first semester we're using the newest version of Budget Challenge, and I think that they've made some great changes. They've introduced the idea of 6 trophies, and what a trophy is it's one aspect of personal finance that's especially important, like gathering all your match on 401k, saving as much as you can in 401k, paying down student debt, building up an emergency fund, having an effective credit card utilization ratio, and paying your bills on time. So what the trophies did, which is an add-on to the game, is it really crystallized in the students' eyes of all the important things that there are to do in being independent financially, what are the most important. And of course, when they achieve those items and get the trophies, they get extra points, which leads into the leaderboard, and students are very conscientious or very sensitive to, I want to be first, second, or third on the leaderboard. So I think that has been a really good addition to the game and has really picked up the game another level.
I love the trophies. When it was rolled out, I was like, I don't understand. And it took me a while to kind of get my feet wet with it. And thankfully, I have a coworker who is just like financially sound and comes to the rescue and helps us all when we're like, what are we going to do with that? But once we got into it, I think adds the element that we didn't have before, the pressure to save, to be putting money aside. I think, you know, we can talk about it all the time, but I think it's really important for the kids to actually do it and see what it feels like to actually have to put that money aside. So I think that's probably the best change I've seen.
describe how you use the CFS, the cash flow spreadsheet.
Oh, I love it. The kids, kids don't love it in the beginning, but they understand it towards the end because I can sit up there and talk to them about the flow of money between pay periods, but until they see it in a picture, they really don't get the concept. Because, you know, when the credit cards come around and the kids are like, oh my God, I have to pay my credit card. I'm like, well, how much money do you have to pay a credit card? Well, I have this in my account. I was like, well, we have some bills coming though before your next paycheck. We got to make sure that we're ready for that. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, let's go look at the spreadsheet. And then all of a sudden it starts to click. It takes them a couple of weeks and then they get it. And to me, I think it's really helpful because no matter how they want to set up a budget in the future, this is a great starting tool for them to really get their feet wet.
We love the budget and cash flow spreadsheet. So it's basically, it starts off as a budget. So before they move into their apartment, this is basically the budget challenge scenario, they have to have a plan. Like any good personal financial person, you just can't show up in an apartment. So what the spreadsheet does, it's basically a beautiful spreadsheet that outlines their income, which they've been given, and all the different categories of where they're going to spend money. But they have choices. That's another theme in education. They have choices. Do they want to have one roommate? Do they want to have two roommates? Do they want to have the high-speed internet? Do they want to have the low speed? Do they want to have a loan with this bank or that bank? So they're given a series of choices before the simulation starts, and then as they pick those choices, they translate that to their budget. So they enter into the game, it's a 10-week game, with a really good understanding of whether they can make it work, just like the real world. And then, of course, the other beauty about the game, and this is fun for all of us, is there's always some surprises. Just like in real life, someone hits you in a car, you lose your cell phone, your roommates bail out on you, and you're left paying the rent. So we always also have to plan not just for like big emergencies, but for small emergencies. So the budget sheet is very instrumental to them having the confidence of, I can do it, plus how much can I save in my 401k? Because it's a good life practice, plus it helps them up the leaderboard skill.
Have you experienced an unexpected event so far?
Yes. Every year, I tell the kids, you know, just like life, things are going to come up, and we have our unexpected event. This year we were in or this semester we were in a car accident, and we went to urgent care, and the kids were very upset that they went to urgent care and just blew that money right away. I said, well, you were injured. We had to go. So I love what that does to a student. I think the panic on their faces, they come in, they're like, what do I do? And I'm like, there's nothing we can do. We're just going to kind of, you know, monitor the situation and prepare ourselves for any extra finances that might be incurred. But yeah, I love, that's my favorite part.
Top thing I like about it is it's totally geared towards competition for the students, and I'm a big believer in games and competition. I've taught for 17 years, and I've always felt that games and competition are a great way for students to learn because of that idea of I want to win. So I'd say that's the first thing that I like about it. I'd say the second thing, it's just an overall package from the standpoint of how realistic it is with receiving authentic looking bills, paying those bills, reconciling your perspective of what your bank balance should be to what your actual bank balance should be. I like the idea of choice in education, where the game just doesn't deal out all the vendors that the students will be used. They have choices, and I think choice is good in education, which makes the students feel participative about it. And I'd say the last thing that I like about it is it's something that links really well towards everything that we teach.
Do you enjoy using Budget Challenge?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You know, we get a lot of moans and groans in the beginning because they just don't understand it. You know, and that's to be expected, and I tell them, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it yet because you're still a kid. You know, your head is here, and we're asking you to go fast forward and be all the way over here as a young adult. But by the end of it, even the kids who moan and groan, I always ask them, you know, would you do this again? Do you think it's good for the class? Yes, I do. I hated this part, and they'll pick a part, and sometimes it's the cash flow sheet or maybe the unexpected event. But they're like, yeah, it was really important, and I think it was really useful. So I'm loving it.
I actually really enjoy the budget challenge. Like, I think it's really fun to be competitive, especially because I know all the people in my class, and it's just a really fun time competing with them, trying to be number one. So yeah, I think it's helpful and it's fun.
Yeah, I know towards the end, like, it's actually fun. Like, I know a lot of people say it, but it's like, it's actually really fun to go ahead and just pay the bills. It's really cool. I don't know. I just do it for fun. I'm just like, okay, I need to pay this and pay that, and then I just move money around.
I'd say I loved the budget challenge experience because it gives you experience of what the real world's going to look like while also making it fun, and so it makes you want to learn about like what you're going to be doing, and it is a game. It's a game of making it interesting and fun for the students. So they want to learn. So like now I feel like I could go to college next year and be able to survive. Yeah, be a functioning human. So.
I think this challenge will help me like manage my money better because like now I'm seeing it in like kind of like a real life situation. So now that I have this, I can like apply that to my own life and like be wiser with my money.
It's taught me not to procrastinate because I'm a big procrastinator and I forgot to pay a bill once. So I had to write like a whole formal letter saying I'm sorry and stuff like that. So now I have to stay on top of my game and be alert of when bills are due.
So I'd like you to maybe talk about the trophies a little bit. That's something new this year, and so you're one of the first students in the whole country to play the trophy version. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that.
I think it's a good idea because the trophies give you something to work for other than just like having enough money and like paying your bills on time. It like gives you like realistic things to work for, like an emergency fund. Like in real life you're gonna want to have that, so if it's in the game like as a trophy, it'll like push you to like make one and like know how to do that in the future.
Yeah, I sort of think the trophies are cool because they sort of like give you what you should be valuing in real life. So 401k, paying off your college debt, loans and everything. That's what you should be focusing on in real life, and I think that's cool. Just motivation in game.
I also want to say that I really do appreciate the trophies. I think it's a big motivator. That's kind of been where I've been because at first I kind of just coasted through, and then I went from like 26 to 7. So I mean, you know, going ahead and working towards that and making sure that you're putting in the effort is huge. So I mean, other than that.
Yep. I think the game is pretty realistic because it includes a lot of things that you actually have to deal with, like overdraft fees, late fees, a lot that you wouldn't really know unless you played the game. And also, the trophies are really helpful because they help point out things you should be paying attention to in the real world, like paying off your student loans and saving for retirement and things like that.
Can you guys talk about if you think you might have avoided some fees in the future?
Oh yeah, and as Jocelyn was saying before, I mean, 100%, if there wasn't the overdraft fees and that kind of stuff, I knew nothing about that, and now I'm going ahead and applying for a credit card and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the fees definitely make you a lot more aware of how they work in the real world. Like, it affects your score in the game, but it actually affects you a lot more in real life, and it can really teach you that with late fees, overdraft fees, if you go below the bank balance you're supposed to have, just a lot of stuff you can be more aware of because of the game.
Early in the game, I actually got docked with the late fee on one of my payments because I forgot that the checks take 2 days to clear usually, and so that actually taught me like how that's gonna affect me later on. Like that's actually gonna happen because even though I paid it before it was due, the check didn't clear until then, and so that docked me in the game. And now that it's done it in the game, I feel like I can avoid that later on.
Definitely, I think after this course I'm going to be a little better at keeping track of money and keeping track of things that I need to pay for and weighing my options of what I'm paying for.
Yeah, I think I've learned to be a lot more organized in how I know what I'm spending and what I'm spending it on.
I have a job, and I realized because of Budget Challenge how much of my money from my paycheck goes into food.
Yo.
Me too.
So Budget Challenge has definitely helped me. I've started like budgeting more. Like,
Yeah.
And so I've started realizing like, yeah, okay, I'm only going to spend this much on food each week, so I'm not spending my entire paycheck. And so it's definitely helped me there.
Glad you learned.
Yeah, I actually got a job a few weeks into the game, like my first job, and I think the game helped me plan out how I would save my money, because I actually, when I first got my paycheck, I actually planned out how much I wanted to save, how much I would spend for food, and so yeah, it definitely helped a lot with how I budgeted in real life.